Mistakes are good. Like making sure everything is perfect is the biggest thing that you can do wrong for yourself.
New Year's resolutions are a really big thing that everybody does every year.
And doesn't follow.
But we're trying to get you a New Year's resolution that you will follow. Art, man. A lot of people have been talking to me, talking to Chris, about starting new art projects this year. We're all at home. We're bored. Watched all the movies, read all the books. Now we're gonna start some artistic projects.
A lot of our friends are always trying to do more artsy stuff, trying to be more attuned with their creative side. So
great, yeah.
We're definitely gonna be talking about a lot of things to do, a lot of different things.
The process of doing art, hopefully give you guys some inspiration and I guess help you guys out when you wanna do your artistic endeavors. Inspiration. So what kind of stuff inspires you, Chris? Whenever you start painting something, where do you get your inspiration from?
So I'm a big fan of Renaissance art and a big fan of single page illustrations in novels. So the Divine Comedy, which everybody knows as Dante's Inferno, is one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to making my work, as well as honestly, I just scroll through Instagram sometimes and just find really uplifting pieces. There is an artist, it'll be right under me when I figure it out after.
Yeah.
But there's an artist who really inspires me right now. Shout out to him. I'm forgetting his name right now, but he does a lot of oil on canvas.
Okay.
And it's super crazy. The way that he blends color with really dark backgrounds always inspires me to kind of reach out of my comfort zone and kind of have these transitional pieces from something that's really grotesque and morbid, hence the name.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and just transition it into something that's serene and beautiful as the circle of life.
Is it the Polish guy?
He is Polish, yeah. There's one of them. There's two of them. I know the one that you're talking about because we talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it too.
He's got a hard name to pronounce.
It's a hard name, man. It's
I'm literally grabbing my phone.
I didn't want to
right
say
now
it's Kubukabuga or something. No, Kubukabuga. You know that meme where it's just the black guy, he's a weatherman?
Yeah.
And he's talking about in Wales, he's oh, it's gonna be Colleen. That's what I was gonna
Just up the road from Llanfair Pwllgwyngyll, go get a Quindrobol, Llantysilio, go.
Similarly to Chris, I sometimes just scroll down my IG Discover page or my feed. I feel curating your feed is very important too.
Yeah.
So you're not inundated with stuff that you don't like. That's a good mental health thing generally too. But I like to make sure that my feed has a lot of sort of fashion related content. So I always have a lot of inspiration when it comes to things, because sometimes I'm sort of in a creative rut and I don't know what to make. So I can sometimes scroll down the feed, get a little bit more of a refresher and sort of become more positive when it comes to thinking. And that kind of gives me a lot of inspiration too. So after you have your inspiration, the next thing to do is probably curate your materials and your workspace.
Basically the pre-production.
Pre-production, yeah. When it comes to, I can speak for sewing, and I guess Chris can probably speak for more artistic focus. Making sure you have a clean workspace, needles and your sewing machine. You got an ample supply of fabric and thread.
Obviously clean workspace.
Yeah.
Setting down everything so that you don't mess up your workspace even further, because working with paint is fun. No, working with paint is fantastic, but it gets on everything. I have to curate my outfit based on what I'm going to be painting.
Yeah, I can imagine. You don't want to get stains on your stuff.
Exactly.
Right?
And I can't just wear oh yeah, I'll just wear my Miyagi pants while I'm painting. I don't have money to waste.
Right.
But yeah, so making sure that your workspace is very cleanly and not cumbersome, because you don't want to accidentally elbow your paint and then it goes all over wherever. Before you work, you have to know the garment you're working on.
Right.
So you have to know how thick your paint needs to be. You need to know how much you need to stretch it, if at all. And then you have to think how can I make this work and it just not be a super stiff mess?
Right.
Because
you're washing stuff too.
Exactly. So you're basically taking a garment and turning it into a canvas, but you don't have the availability and rigidness that a canvas has.
So we have our inspiration, we have our materials and our workspaces. Next, let's just talk about the process of making stuff. Obviously, I'll start off when it comes to making garments, I like to get it done right away, because I'm just a little bit of excitement when I'm starting something new. So I want to see how it looks and how it's finished right away. But I know that might be if you're starting off, You know what I mean? Starting off something new, it might take you a long time to do something.
Yeah, it might take time. For
yeah.
Sure.
So it's always good to take breaks also. I know I gotta follow that advice. It's always good to take breaks to make sure you're not like, you don't burn out yourself.
I mean, for sure, I gotta take breaks more. I'll miss dinner. I'll look up, be like, maybe I should take a break now. And then I see it's like 2 in the morning and I'm like, well, I guess dinner's cold. You know what I'm saying? I always hear like kain na when it's time to eat, you know what I mean? And like, I got my headphones in, so I'm just like zoned completely out. When it comes to getting things done, with painting, of course, you have to take breaks because sometimes you gotta let things dry. Other times you need to blend it as fast as possible. It just depends on what you're doing, of course. But for sure, breaks are a focal point of getting the job done. And a lot of the time as well, you just gotta make sure that when you're actually working on your piece, you're not too into it. You gotta be about 86%, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'll just be so focused on getting a piece done sometimes that if I have prior plans that day, I'll just like totally flop on them and forget.
Not even like that. I feel like sometimes if you're like too into something, like there's like a point where like once you passed it, you're like, it's being detrimental to the thing that you're making. You know?
Yeah, exactly, because you're so focused that now you're making mistakes that you wouldn't have made with sort of fresh eyes.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's a little bit of a balance when you're doing stuff. I feel like, especially when you're new, it can be sometimes intimidating to get started, especially if you go on like social media too much. That's why I like to talk about curating your social media space, because sometimes you can be like really into doing something, have a lot of passion, energy, and you go on like IG. It's usually IG for me. Twitter, not so much. But if you go on like IG and then you see like something, like you see like it could be like somebody's piece or like a picture, and it just totally like psychs you out of that mindset, and you get a little bit more like self-doubt. So definitely make sure your workspaces are curated. The more and more you get into your creative project, the more you'll be able to realize what that balance is. So, you know, trial and error is always good. You know, making mistakes is totally fine.
Exactly.
You know, all part of the process.
And that is something that a lot of my close friends had to learn as well. That mistakes are good. Like making sure everything is perfect is the biggest thing that you can do wrong for yourself. And kind of once again, it's that balancing act of how far is a mistake until you can't come back from it. And that goes for life too.
Yeah.
But anyways, life lesson of the day.
Life lessons, trying to help you guys out.
For sure.
Or not, you know. Or
you. No. We're just all love. It's definitely part of that balancing act where you can make a mistake and you can come back from it, and you can actually help it to evolve what you're making, because there's good mistakes a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Shout outs to me.
Presentation and putting your stuff out there. This is probably the most scary part of doing anything creative, because I don't know, I feel like just creative stuff, because it's a lot like really close to home, you kind of take it personally, because a lot of times it is personal to you.
It's your creativity literally being poured out into something.
Exactly, that's like a part of you. And sometimes, you know, you don't have to, you know, show your stuff out to the world, but I feel like that if you want to grow and develop as an artist, as a creative, it's something you got to do. And you gotta realize and remember, don't take things too personally. It's all a growing experience, and you're gonna become better the more and more things you do. So definitely put yourself out there. A lot of times you'll be pleasantly surprised with what happens.
Yeah. Like literally part of this whole thing is literally trying something new.
Yeah.
And I think you have to dive in sort of with ignorance, in the way that like you should just want to do it because you want to do it. You shouldn't care about what other people are going to think of this new piece that you're creating for yourself, because like I said, it's for yourself. And like I said, you got to dive in with sort of a level of ignorance, in the way that like you should just want to do it because you want to do it, and that should be all you really need. And that just goes, I'm just spitting out the facts today. That just goes with everything you want to do. Like you should have that level of ignorance that you shouldn't take everything so seriously to the point that everything is this formula.
Right.
And I think that's part of the presentation, is like you have to worry enough about how you feel about it, and then after that, it's just in the ether,
Exactly.
in space. You know what I mean?
Just one thing to touch on when it comes to like putting your stuff out there. This is where it comes to like the thought of like it has to be perfect. It does not have to be perfect in order to put it out there. If you do something often enough, you're gonna get better at doing it. I might think today that the pair of pants or whatever I make is really, really great, but in like 1 year, 2 years, 6 months, I'm gonna look back on it and think, wow, the stuff I'm making now is tenfold better than the stuff I made in the past. And that's gonna happen regardless of what you make. You're always gonna get better, always gonna progress.
Exactly.
So seeing as you're gonna progress regardless, you might as well put your stuff out there, you know?
Exactly.
Because if you always wait to find like a perfect thing to put out there, that's never gonna happen, you know what I mean? Because you're always gonna get better. There's always gonna be a higher level to succeed, a higher level to get to. So if you're always waiting for that higher level, then you're never gonna be able to put something out there. That's why you always gotta, you know, get it to a level where you think it's good enough, or you have a standard and get to that standard, get to that threshold, and then just put it out there. Yeah, on a related, unrelated note, I think something you guys might look into getting is getting your own a separate page for. Hold on, wait. Let me chill. Hold on. Let me chill out. You guys might
take a breather.
look into getting a separate page for your art. I feel like that might be a little bit more of a safe space, so where you can actually find a feed that's curated to what you like, and something that's gonna inspire you, and a place where you can just post your art, you know, have a nice feed where it's things that you like and things that you want to see, so you don't have to unfollow anyone on your main account, you know, no one catches feelings. You know, so it'll be a little bit better for you to do. So that's it, everybody. Inspiration, preparation, your work, and finishing and, you know, presenting your stuff. That's basically all the stuff you need to do to learn and to be a great artist in 2021. Any final thoughts?
Nah, you know what would have been sick? Inspiration, preparation, execution,
Ooh.
presentation.
Oh, what?
That just devolved into madness real quick.
Yeah, I didn't even know what were we talking about. We
were talking about basically having that balance act when you work.
Yes.
Of taking that break. You know, if you need 5 minutes, and if your eyes are getting tired, call it a night. Just call it a night, because
oh man, yeah.
If you can't see your vision anymore,
yeah. If you can't see your vision,
bars.
That's why you watch us, guys. Gems like that. Subscribe right now.